Mr. Rajesh Makhija, EVP, eMACH.ai, Cloud and CMO, Intellect Design Arena. Can I have Rajesh ji over here on stage with me, please? Do we have Rajesh ji over? Yes, we do. A big round of applause for Rajesh ji, please. Have been waiting patiently for his presentation, so give him a bigger round of applause, please, everybody.
My name is Rajesh Makhija. I represent Intellect Design Arena. Intellect Design Arena has been in the industry for 30 odd years. We are developing enterprise software for across consumer banking, wholesale banking, wealth, cards. Today, I am here to present the AI platform that we had unveiled in India 2 months ago. I also have been in the industry coincidentally for close to 30 plus years in enterprise platform and product development, right from core banking, digital banking, and in the last few years, as the AI wave has caught up, how can we enable AI, embed AI into the entire application lifecycle and customer lifecycle journeys for which all of you are the providers to your customers. So before I start telling you about the platform, we have been working in the field of, which is Gen AI now, ML, deep learning, and so on for almost a decade. So what started off as simple AI and data, sentiment analysis, basic models, over a period of time, we got a chance to work with certain customers in the insurance space to develop document extraction, document submission, underwriting, and a lot of learning. This was pre-Gen AI, pre the 2023 era. So a lot of work had gone in on how do you use the traditional AI where you have training data, testing data, take stuff to production, and really recognize the value of AI. But what happened over a period of time, once the Gen AI revolution came in, most of the work which was done for 7-8 years suddenly became redundant. We had to pivot and figure out all the hard work that everyone did in terms of training and testing. The Gen AI just revolutionized the whole thing. And we went through the same journey. And then what we realized was, based on our collective experience, we had ended up collecting so much of knowledge and information that if we were to really pivot into a platform, it would not just help our own product teams working across the various areas that I spoke about to enable AI. So all the products, instead of working independently on AI themselves, are now using our own platform to call, which we call .ai. So our products are called eMACH.ai. So if I take lending as an example, if lending, I have in the lending API application lifecycle, there are a lot of use cases. Instead of the lending team building and experimenting AI, we're using the platform as an API to build the stuff. And what I'm going to present now is how has the platform evolved, what is there in the platform, and how organizations like yourselves may have a lot of tools, technologies, open source, all available. Instead of you weaving it yourself, we feel you can leverage the power of the platform and really focus on the business use cases and business problems. I see some, I see some movies and some, what do you call, a different screen here, but anyway, can you just get this corrected? Yeah, it is a desktop of the TV which is showing me all sorts of movies. So I was wondering, I'm not presenting this and I had to look back. So the focus was not just AI for the sake of AI, but for business impact. So I know a lot of you are working on agents, AIs, LLMs. A lot of some of the sessions which earlier spoke about the AI threats are all relevant. So I'm going to talk in the context of that. So when we look at AI, essentially we are stalking the end customers, how we can reimagine what we sell to the customers, how best we sell to them, how do we acquire them, how can we use AI to build and design better products in the product management organization that you have in the institutions. How can you benchmark them against competition? Now with one query of research, you can actually figure out what's going on, right? Everything is available on the websites of the respective competition. So if you were to do a research of the product that you're offering, how can you offer the best product? Operations, which is the biggest area where a lot of use cases have happened, how instead of putting AI in the loop, can you have a collaboration between human and AI? And last but not the least, compliance, which is also a huge area where GenAI is really excelling, where instead of going through lots and lots of documents, regulations, compliance, not just which are industry standard, let's say by the RBI or the central, but your own internal policy documents. How can you really use that context and relevance and use the power of GenAI? So here is where we feel there is a real opportunity to reimagine in these 4 pillars, how will AI help us? But a lot of POCs, a lot of experiments, a lot of use cases have been done, but we've not really seen the real productionization of a lot of the AI use cases. This is based on the learnings, based on our interactions with customers in the last 1 year. And we feel these are the 4 challenges that we came across of why is it that some of the AI proof of concepts or prototypes of serious business impact has not gone into production. I think the first is unwoven threads of the enterprise knowledge. Within the enterprise, you have a lot of unstructured data, which is sitting in silos. Some of the earlier speakers also talked about there are departments, silos, there are product silos. Lot of data is sitting there, and we all know LLMs know a lot, but our enterprise data, once given in a context to LLM, can really uplift the AI capability, and that's what we are talking about. So if you have a way in which your enterprise data, which is entitled depending on your departments, how can that securely be given as context to the LLM so that you can really reap the benefit? That's the one impediment which is currently plaguing. A lot of micro automations, a small task, a chatbot to solve a particular problem, or a small stuff has been done in the last year or 2. But how can you take multiple agents or human skills that we call it, combine them and really create a digital expert in the area working alongside a human to really take the task to the next level? Is another area where we feel there are a lot of experiments which have happened, but the power of multiple agents working together, collaborating, just like you have teams in a department or groups in a department, and the final output is multiplied, that has not really leveraged in the final outcome. One size doesn't fit all, we all know. Models are coming day in and day out, and if you have tied to a model for a particular task, how can you make sure that if a new better model comes, which is faster, cheaper, giving more accurate results, can I move to that model quickly? So that instead of locking to an LLM, can I explore multiple LLMs for that same task, kind of compare and contrast, and use the best which fits my bill, either in terms of cost or performance or accuracy? And there is where you need a platform which will quickly allow you to compare. It's like saying, I will do the 2 tests and see which one scores better. And another area where we felt that once you're tied to a particular hyperscaler and it gives a model, you should have the freedom of choice to choose the LLM that you wish to for the task, or something new comes up in the next quarter, you should be able to leverage that. But that is something which people have got stuck with. And last but not the least, I think in the Sky High, we spoke about when you're building agents, just like today in a banking, financial service regulated industry, any application needs to have so many steps when it goes to production, right? You need audit trail. Who is going to be accessing it? Is it read access? Is it read write access? What is the version? How do you govern them? How do you monitor them? Is there a UAT, SIT? All of that enterprise application lifecycle stuff that we speak about is absolutely relevant now in the case of agents. Imagine now each department, each area, I think we gave the example of Copilot, but even in an enterprise application, if you're developing so many agents, solving tasks, how do you govern them? How do you ensure the right version is in production? Who's doing what? How do you entitle? It's like a massively complex piece, which if it is not governed, compliant, it can completely go out of hand. And I'm sure all of you are worried, my data is my data, my documents, my compliance. All of that is another big impediment for an enterprise. To sum it up, in our experience, talking to a lot of large customers, we felt one of these was a big impediment for them to adopt enterprise scale AI. Now, the devil actually is in the details. While everybody wants agents doing a certain task, doing a function, but if you really go deep down, yes, there are models. The models can be chosen based on the task they do. Then you need to store, you have structured data, unstructured data, like I spoke about, sitting in any of these databases and memory. This is the footprint that you already have. And to build all of this, you will use a programming language, you put them in containers, you'll have queues, identity. There are a lot of open source agent frameworks available. I'm sure some of you who have built agents yourself have used some of these technologies to put it together. Then you have your own data sitting either in documents or in tables, structured, unstructured, semi-structured. You need a way to seamlessly take the data out so that it can be put in the platform and leveraged. So converting the data into something called enterprise knowledge, which we call it, and building your enterprise knowledge garden. But in order to do that, as you all know, there are certain things that need to be made to make the data AI-aware. You have to embed them, you have to chunk them, you have to label it, tag it, so that you can create your knowledge graph or make sense out of the knowledge. Now, this is as far as knowledge is concerned. Then once you've said, this is my agent, these are the set of documents, you have choices of which LLM to use, depending on the nature of the task that you're doing. Not just that, I spoke about each LLM is better at doing something else. So there are trade-offs of cost, accuracy, performance. OpenAI model will do well in something else. An Anthropic model may do something else better. A DeepSeek model may do something else better. So what we are saying is you need to be having the choice of the LLM that you want while you're building the agents without having to hardwire and hardcode all of that in your code. And last but not the least, we've not reached this stage, but as we keep growing the agents, right, and the concurrency increases, the throughput increases, we already see that as an enterprise challenge is LLM load balancing. Today, when you access a resource from the cloud, I am sure you have provisioned a certain throughput for the LLM, right? And suddenly, let's say in the organization, you build some agent which hundreds and thousands of users start using it. You want to keep the cost in control, which means you need to throttle the number of requests go out to the LLM, right? Because you're paying a cost. Not just that, if the LLM is slow, you cannot let the slowness trickle down to the users, otherwise the user will lose belief. So while this is not hit by some of you, having designed enterprise systems, right, just like you do load balancing of containers and workloads, we feel load balancing, retrying of LLM will become a reality. And if you are accessing 20 different type of LLMs, imagine the complexity that you have to build yourself. Because finally, the end user will only see the result. It has to come up in the next few milliseconds or seconds. Then you have various agent frameworks, RAG, React, some of you may have heard, depending on the type of the use case, you have to think through that. One agent can only do one task. Can you orchestrate agents in an intelligent manner, just like digital experts? Something could be dynamic, or you let the LLM decide what he should do next. And then the memory, which we spoke about. In enterprises, you have enterprise AI requirements, roles, permissions, who can do what, all of that. And last but not the least, two important aspects which are covered in the earlier cycle is, this is all about security, is important, but how do you observe? Today, in a bank, when you use system, you just have audit trails, maker, checker. But in the new world of agents, you just not need traceability, auditability, you also need explainability. When the agent took a decision or it reasoned it, why did it take a reason? Which tool did it call? What tool came next? Now, all of that, imagine if you were to build the agent to doing it yourself, all of this is something which becomes your headache. And last but not the least, just like you have APIs, when you design the agent, can you have versioning of the agents? So that you can keep releasing newer versions who do newer capabilities, publish them as needed, or maybe you work them in UAT not yet ready for production. So all of this finally will be consumed by the UI applications that you have built, or the chatbots that you built, or embed the AI, or we give APIs. Now, all that you saw at the bottom, if you really want to put in AI into your enterprise, in your application lifecycle, all of this you will hit one day or the other. And for each of them, there is some technology available. But what we are saying is, based on our collective experience of building enterprise applications, this is what we are giving it to you as an enterprise AI platform, which is a low-code, no-code platform, which lets you design, publish AI agents at scale, takes care of all of that. I'll just share a slide on what it does. So it runs on either our cloud, so you take it as a SaaS solution on what we call the PF cloud, or in case you want to host your local version, then it can run on your AWS or Azure private cloud, in which case you get a dedicated instance. Obviously, you own the entire platform. All the agents that you build will be yours. In the case of PF Cloud, you get a tenant. It's a multi-tenant SaaS platform. I spoke about the choice of foundation models, open source models, bring your own models in the future. And this is what the platform is. So at the bottom or the heart is what we call the right knowledge, the enterprise knowledge, which is your own data connected through the data sources into structured, unstructured, semi-structured, embedded, chunked, labeled, so it is available for AI consumption. Then we have an agents designer, where you choose which LLM you want to use to, what is the purpose of your agent. It's kind of, LLM and AI is just one part. We feel the bigger piece is how do you design the full AI solution? Because the AI is not sitting in isolation. You have many systems running, interacting, accessing, and you want the AI to seamlessly fit in the AI lifecycle, right? So designing a solution architecture of an agent becomes extremely important. And this is where, when you design it here, you can either build a conversational agent, which is just a chat, question and answer, or it gives you a API, which then you can embed anywhere, like a JSON API. That's the beauty of the whole agent designer. Then, once you've designed, atomic is like one task, multiple tasks, you design digital experts on top of that, which are combining the skills of multiple agents. And finally, to give it the enterprise class, you need multiple departments could be working on their respective agents. They need to be provisioned, they need to be versioned, they need to have their own life cycle and audit trail. That is what the enterprise AI governance is all about. And the entire AI security guardrails, which we already spoke about. And once you've decided which LLM to use, this module allows you to do a comparison of cost and accuracy and speed. Because in technology, everything is trade-offs, right? You cannot get at the best possible price and at the same time performance. So this module allows you to figure out which LLM to use for what task, benchmark the LLM. And in fact, we are going one step ahead. Because it is becoming so complex, we are saying LLM itself is becoming a judge of saying which is better. Don't even rely on the human. And what it gives you then is to embed the AI in your applications the way you want it to. Either through an API, or through the out-of-the-box conversation UI, or build it in your app. The whole idea is how can it be weaved into your big journey without really coming out. So that is the brief part. I had a big picture, but in the interest of time, I'll just flash it quickly, because in the interest of time, I had a few use cases. But this is just to give you, under the hood, same, bottom of the iceberg, all the capabilities redefined, how the data comes in, gets analyzed, stored in your garden, and then you have multi-agents orchestrating the entire stuff. In some cases, the agent without access to your systems through skills and code will really not be able to extract the value. And then a bunch of techniques for advanced RAG, and then depending on the model hub, you can decide which model I access. And another important part, which I already spoke about, is the security guardrails, the different type of agent designers, and the entire AI lifecycle management, which today you have to think through this from ground up if you were to do it yourself. And of course, the platform management, and that is the UI part. Now, how can all this be manifested into business impact? So let's see, this is a typical if you reimagine the bank with AI, right? You have operations, you have experience, you have employees, you have customer. Some of the agents that we've built within the application using the platform will give you a sense. So branch, you have a lot of queries about who can open the account, all of that using your enterprise data. We have something called Enterprise GPT. The entire credit operations, we have a set of, so what you see here is a digital expert. It is not one agent. It is a collection of agents doing multiple jobs, which you saw earlier, which have been built using the platform. So the underwriting agent may appear as an innocent agent, but it has a dozen agents inside doing multiple tasks, orchestrating the job, and finally available as an API, which you can actually use in your lending application, origination application. And the list continues. Same is the case with trade. The document scrutiny, there are 25 types of trade documents. Each agent is an expert in extracting the documents from the unstructured part and giving you a structured output. Or money laundering and compliance check. Multiple agents work in parallel based on the UCP 600 guideline or the ISBP 821 guideline, giving you the final output. So here is an example. All these agents have been built using the platform and used in the journey of the product, either as a conversational agent or as a headless agent manifesting in the UI. So this was a brief about how you can reimagine any area within your life cycle, but leave the building of the agent and the entire enterprise aspect to the platform. Some examples of how we have delivered business impact, but I just leave it with this last slide, that if you feel this is something which will really fast track or agility in your journey, we'd be more than happy to do a small little session where we deep dive into the platform. 15 to 20 minutes is no justice. What the platform is about. We also do a one-day boot camp where you can actually come up with your use cases, your sample data, or some data that we can play with, put it into the enterprise knowledge garden, and then build some agents and see the real value. So we call it starting from a boot camp to a discovery to a pilot or a sale. So that was a quick, sorry for the rush, but I'll be more than happy to take any questions if you have.
I'm sure people might have questions, sir, but we are unfortunately very delayed. So any questions for sir, please feel free to connect in the networking zone. And in the meantime, please give him a big round of applause, which he thoroughly deserves. I'll request you to please wait on stage, sir. I'll request Vaibhavji to please kindly come up on stage with the token of appreciation for you. Once again, a big round of applause for Rajesh ji, please. Thank you.
Thank you much.
We'll now